Hello, YouTube, and hypothetically, the Breakfast Club. I'm not sure this is actually live yet. I've never done this way, so give me a minute to cross-reference what I'm doing with my laptop that's hidden here behind the camera, and see if I can, aha, it does look like we're live. And so I have my laptop here behind me, you guys. If anybody is out there and listening, I should be able to periodically check the live chat. I've turned the volume off there. So let me just make sure. Ooh, it's going to be some lag. My hand should be somewhere. Hey, check it out. Okay, so you guys might wonder, that's hot, right? I don't cook, okay? So you guys might be wondering what I'm doing here tonight. This probably needs to get out of here. It's like a cat hair. Cat hairs everywhere. I have to make one of those little hyper speed DIY videos for my channel. And I decided I was going to do Jack Skellington cookies, and that I was going to do it on Halloween, well, for obvious reasons. And then I've been working all day on doing, boxing up subscription dross boxes for the Patreons on my channel. And so I basically have run out of time to do a separate Jack Skellington video and a Breakfast Club video, so I decided to live stream doing Jack Skellington while I'm talking about Gothic Funk's issue about Robert E. Lee and Confederate honor, I guess. And so eventually I'll be taking all of this and making it into one of those hyper-speed videos that you see on Facebook of people trying to do experiments. Now, the last time I tried to do this, I literally shattered a glass pan all over my stove. I really don't cook, so it looked like a simple process, but that's also what I thought when I was going to make unicorn bark. So I have to get this melted first, and then I guess all I have to do is take these Oreo cookies here and dip them into the melted vanilla and cover them. I don't know. You'll get there. So anyway, so Gothic Funk today, and happy Halloween, by the way, everybody. Or if you're not on the Christian, I guess technically Halloween really isn't on the Christian side. Anyway, happy Samhain to you guys. So anywho, I really don't know how much of this stuff I need. I guess I just may as well put it all in here. So I'm boiling water in this bottom pan. Hopefully it'll melt that stuff in the top pan. I might want to add more water to that bottom pan. So anyway, so Gothic Funk was talking about how he disagreed with his mother's statement that Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general, had any honor. And it's hard to not think about this in the context of the whole statue removal thing. So I kind of see them as separate, totally separate, almost entirely separate issues. So I'm going to try to talk about them as separate issues. And I think that always when we're discussing historical topics, we have to be careful to be aware of the fact that we look at these topics through this lens of historical anachronism. We tend to apply our modern viewpoints and values, current philosophies, etc., to the way that things were done in the past. And not only that, some things were done differently in the past because the literal physicality of the world that people lived in, the technology that they had at the time, the medicine that they had at the time, was entirely different. I mean, medical ethics is a really good example of this, how it has just changed over the years. because our medical knowledge has changed, and therefore things that were once considered ethical to do are now considered barbaric, right? So we have to be really careful when we're looking back in time and discussing, you know, how good or bad or moral or ethical these people are, that we try to put it into as much of the context of the time that it was occurring. And I'm going to just be straightforward in saying that I'm not an historical expert. I don't know tons and tons about the Confederate war. Sorry. I just scratched myself. You guys totally didn't see it, but I scratched myself. So, so please bear in mind that I'm not speaking on this topic as somebody who has some kind of PhD in Civil War history or something, or in fact any degree in Civil War history. So, but I think that certainly there's something to be said, the very idea of what even honor is has changed, is very different from culture to culture. In Roman times, probably it would have been honorable for Robert E. Lee to commit suicide because he had clearly, lost the battle, and the war was on its way to being lost. And so that would have been a way for him to retain honor, would have been for him to kill himself. So, what constitutes honor, right, also changes quite a lot. I have a really difficult time ascribing, to me, whether or not a person is honorable can be separate from, I guess, their actions that I might otherwise consider deplorable. I really have a difficult time thinking, in my head, I have a difficult time thinking that anybody who is leading the Confederate side in the Civil War, I agree that these people were fighting to be able to maintain, there was several things they were fighting for, but I think that anybody who tries to tell you that they were not fighting for slavery is full of it. There is hands down in my mind, just no question, that this is absolutely one of the things that they were fighting to retain, was the right to have slaves. And we've known for a long time that this isn't ethical. It's not moral, it's not ethical to have human slaves, in the way that they were in the Civil War era. And so it's really hard for us to think of this guy as being any kind of honorable. But honor sometimes has less to do with I guess your actions with regards to what is at the time a social battle, essentially, and more to do with how you conduct yourself with regards to the things that you believe and with regards to the people that you have in some way committed yourselves to, right? So he's a general of the Confederates. He has some responsibility to these men who are underneath him, right? So at the end of the war, I have to make sure that this is deep enough to dip these cookies in. I bought a pound of these things back when I thought I was going to make unicorn bark. I did make unicorn bark, but I also destroyed half the kitchen in the process. So I have all these left over. I I don't want to melt them all, because if I do, how am I going to get them back out? And then what am I going to do with them? But it has to be deep enough that I can, oops, all right, decision made. Gross. I'm such a kitchen retard. So anyway, you know, I guess that I consider the question of whether or not this guy was honorable kind of different from the question of whether or not he was a good man, right? It's really difficult for me to say that anybody who's fighting for slavery is a good person. Now, the rest of the Confederates, I am a lot more lenient on when it comes to people. I mean, there are people who go off and fight in war, you know, I mean, for them, there was still all America. These guys consider themselves American, right? They're from the South. They're still American, or they're part of, you know, they're part of what was the colonies that were, you know, even if it was still the opt-in thing or whatever, they still consider themselves a part of that, right? So they still think that they're fighting for their country, right? And for a lot of them, maybe that was a paycheck, right? Maybe they didn't have any, maybe they didn't even know what was going on with regards to politics. Like, it's, you know, for your foot soldiers, I think that the story can be really, really different. But obviously for the people who were leading what some people term as, you know, insurrection or treason, you know, that's sort of different, right? Like, they're the guys who, like, have the actual reason for what's going on, and it's hard for me to consider anybody that is fighting to maintain slavery as it was there is just, that's not good, right, at all. But when it comes to whether or not he was honorable, well, from one perspective, you might say, yes, he is. Like, I could see how Gothic Funk's mother might say he was an honorable man. When it came time to surrender, his surrender conditions essentially are what led to the amnesty that was granted to all of the Confederate Army, and including the high-ranking officers in that army, albeit there were stipulations on that after the fact. But, you know, ultimately, you know, it could be said he knew when it was lost, and rather than just continue to fight and lose lives, he conceded in such a way that, you know, allowed people to go back to their homes and their families, and, you know, so long as they abided by whatever the new laws were going to be. So, you know, in that way, I guess I can see how somebody would say he was honorable. I did look into this a little bit before kind of coming to make this video, because I think that like this whole stupid conversation about Robert E. Lee and, you know, all these statues or whatever keeps coming up, and it really annoys me. You know, I am absolutely against removing the statues of these folks because they did a terrible thing in the past, right? We know that, but I think that their presence where they are is a very important part of our history, even if the part of that history is a bad part of our history. That, in fact, that almost makes it, to my mind, more important, you know. So whether or not the guy was honorable or nice or whatever, you know, and you know what's weird about this too, right, is like this whole, I'm going to just like sidetrack myself here for a second, but this whole conversation made me think about what I was reading. I want to say, I can go look actually really fast. Okay. I'm pretty sure that where I read it, I was reading, I'm going to do the bad internet thing and invoke Hitler. Not actually Hitler. Inside the Third Reich by Albert Speer. And there was this part in it where he's talking about the guy whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but who was the main person that designed the concentration camps, right? And what's strange about it, like actually went into them and said, oh, we're not killing enough people all at once. Here's how we can change this in order to make it go faster and get rid of the bodies faster. Like terrible crap, right? But what was interesting about it, right, is that this guy still goes home at night to a wife and like a son and a daughter or something like that, right? And surely his wife and son and daughter don't think these terrible things about him. So I guess the same thing could be said about people like Robert E. Lee, right? Like, here's this guy, he's fighting for slavery. Surely, though, he doesn't treat his family terrible, right? Like, there's somebody out there that loves him, but I'm sure that Jeffrey Dahmer's mother loved him too, right? So, that doesn't mean that they necessarily were great people, but how people are perceived is okay. So I guess I have to take this thing and then one of these cookies like this. I'm just gonna pause this for a minute here. Anywho, I think it's really important that I think I should cut this in. I think I should cut this in half. I thought I brought scissors out here. I did. Okay. Oh, man. That was harder than I thought it was going to be. The heck is that thing made? It's made out of plastic. No wonder. That sucks. I wanted it to be made out of paper like a regular lollipop. Well, let's just cut a few more here, I guess. Let's see if this goes. Man, what a bunch of bollocks made out of plastic. I could not find lollipop sticks anywhere. So I got these stupid heart lollipop sticks because they were literally the only ones I could find. Oh! Jeez Louise, I wish I had wire cutters for this. I guess that wouldn't look that great on camera though, would it? Anywho, I think that the presence of the things that people have erected in the past is really important. I'm kind of a person who's already on the side of preserving knowledge. And I mean, I'm a huge bibliophile and I love reading. I save writing. I write a lot and I sort of I scrapbook. I'm like a huge knowledge preservation type of person. So, and I perceive the existence of these statues, deplorable as we may now consider those people to be, they speak something relevant. Like they teach us and they show us something relevant about the people that erected them, the time that they were erected, what was going on. And because of that, it's very important that we don't remove them, that we leave them there, because they are part of the, I guess I want to say, they're part of the ars memorativa of our culture, of our society, right? They're part of our memory castle, a physical part of our memory castle, and they represent something. I just don't believe that because a thing is connected to something that we now consider bad, which at the time of the erection of those first statues that went up, they weren't considered bad. They were erected by family members or people who otherwise were maybe grateful that what's-his-face surrendered and they therefore didn't have to continue fighting and die, right? So, that should be a little bit. I have done way better on this time than I did last time. I'm very proud of myself. Nothing has broken yet. Okay, here we go. I don't know, it just seems like it's kind of thick. So, and, not deep enough. Okay, here we go. Ah, I suck. I cannot. I am just not a cooker. That is what it comes down to. Oh! Frustrating. Okay. Runnier. Must be runnier. Maybe I shouldn't have made those sticks shorter. Anywho, you know, I guess that regardless of whether or not the dude was honorable, I am for, you know, leaving those things up, because I think it's really important what they say. And I usually think that when there are bad things that we never want to see happen again, you know, in all the time of humanity, then it's especially important that we not remove those things that are, you know, that call back to them, I guess. So, let's see. Leave it about 2/3. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that I could turn around and look behind me and see the chat. I'm so sorry, you guys. I feel like a jerk now. Okay. Sort of got it. Better? I guess I should have just not cut those sticks. How's that? Let's see. There. now you can see my pan. Let's see. Hey, Goth. Hey, John and Deep Ashtray. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm just basically talking while I do this because I essentially, I'm going to turn this into a DIY video for my other channel, and so I kind of had to hit two birds with one stone tonight. I hope you guys don't mind. I think this needs to be runnier, though. So I'm turning the heat up, but just a tiny bit because, well, people often seem to have the tendency to overheat things. So here we go. We're going to try this again. So all right. I love you, Jack Skellington. Okay. Now, wait. I'm going to try to get this all down in the middle. That way it's deeper. Deeper. I suck at this. This is why I should never be allowed in the kitchen. Well, I shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen to do food-related things. But if you want me to use this oven as a makeshift kiln, you are talking to the right person. That's not a blender. It's a paper pulper. How's that look? What do you think? Like, not so bad, right? Okay. Just lay that little guy down right there. Now the next thing that comes after this is drawing the little face on him. So we'll see how that goes. But I got this. I did not have to search as long to find this. I don't know if it will work very well, but I guess we'll find out, won't we? I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this whole thing? I'm curious. Yeah, no, I did not think that. I didn't think that you were referring particularly about the statues, and I think that Goth, I think that you weren't here earlier when I was talking I was speaking directly about the honor of people, you know, in different cultures and et cetera, et cetera. And but I did start it off by saying that I think the conversation right now is really hard to. Oh, broken cookie. I hate chocolate, though. Can you believe that? I'm not even going to eat these because I hate chocolate. So I have to find something to do with them. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, what I was getting at right there was that I think it's really hard to have the conversation about Robert E. Lee right now without it going back to the whole statue business, because it's been such a hot topic, you know, in the media, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that that's not particularly what you were talking about, but Mm. I mean, and you know what's interesting too about the whole thing, like with regards to the honor of Robert E. Lee, right, as at least a soldier, right, or a military person, right, a general, and is that when he went to, put the terms for how their surrender, right, then he oh no! Ah! It's like the orange is melting off because okay, obviously made it too hot. God, so annoying. This is annoying, you guys. They make it look so easy when they show you like how to do these things. It's lies. It is all dirty lies. And it's white, so of course like a tiny little bit of color will F it all up. Just in case. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have turned it up. Maybe turning it up was the wrong idea. Man, so annoying. Anywho, what I was trying to get at just there was that so he demanded amnesty for basically the soldiers and, well, everybody on the Confederate side. And then when the next president came in, he didn't actually give amnesty to the officers. They had to apply for amnesty, and Robert E. Lee was not immediately granted his amnesty, and Grant got very angry about that, and through his influence, forced the hand of the president to grant amnesty to Lee because he felt that the terms of the original surrender included that, and that it was not right to not abide by the terms of that surrender, right? So I think that certainly in the eyes of even their military opponents, his manner was appropriate, right? It was he surrendered when appropriate, he did it right, and it was accepted appropriately, and then should be abided by. So, with regards to that, like when you look at it in that light, yes, I guess you could say that guy had honor. That's what that means, right? Again, I think that honor has more to do with whether or not and how you adhere to the people that you are beholden to and the beliefs that you claim to ascribe to, not whether or not those beliefs are necessarily ethical or moral. These are two different things, right? In fact, that's specifically how people can be ethical yet at the same time morally reprehensible, is whether or not the moral system that they are subscribing to is reprehensibly, like morally reprehensible, but they stick to it, anytime their beliefs might come into question, they stick to it, and that makes them ethical with relation to the morals that they claim to have. So, if whether or not a person is honorable is based on, like the truth of their word, whether or not they can be counted on to do the things that they say they're going to do, or follow the beliefs that they say that they have, whether or not those beliefs are just terrible is not exactly the question here. The question is whether or not they stick to those beliefs and they stick to the things that they say, or they stick to the commitments that they made, and that's that's really what I think is more what honor is about, right? So it's disassociated to some degree from good and bad. And yeah, Grant didn't consider Lee a traitor. So the vast majority, I want to say that only very, very few of anybody that was on the Confederate side ever even was brought up on treason. you know, and I don't know, like, again, I'm not a super expert. You know, what I've read a little bit says that in part, you know, the reason for that was because it was extremely detrimental to our economy at the time, and you know, Congress just wanted to get, and the president just wanted to get things back on track and running again, and so, you know, they were willing to cut this deal or whatever. I don't know, who knows, but I don't know. Does that make sense though? What I'm saying about how I think that honor is separate, or at least, like, there can be overlap, but there doesn't have to be overlap. So this guy could be doing super reprehensible things, nevertheless have a sense of honor about whatever it is that he believes and stick to that code of honor. Well, right, and yeah, okay. So yes, Goth, you totally like put that. That's kind of what I was saying earlier, right? When I think, I don't know if you were here for it, but I was talking about how, you know, when he surrendered, he did exactly that, right? He had these stupid cookies. I'm not really sure what the rules for swearing on YouTube are, but I sure do want to swear a lot right now. You know, ow! So mad, you guys. Okay. How do I fix this? What do I even do with it? I can't put it onto my... Because, you know, that's gonna... it's gonna melt. I know. I'll stack it on another cookie. Okay. It's gonna do exactly that right there. Okay. Just go there. Ruining! Huh. Frosting is good, though. I don't know what to do with this. Make a mess in my garbage can, I guess. You guys are probably like totally laughing at me trying to do this. I'm such a kitchen retard. It's okay. By the time I'm done with this and I get it like all chopped up and voiced over and everything, it's gonna look like I absolutely know what I'm doing. Like I'm a fucking expert here in the kitchen. Oops, pardon my French. I mean, I'm totally not, but it'll look that way. Because that's what the art of film is all about. Hey, you looking at my cleavage? Well, I'd rather you look at my cleavage than my fat belly. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Anyway, what I was saying was that, like, when he surrendered, like, he did all the proper things in his surrender, right? Like, he wrote it up, he asked for certain things, and, you know, sent it over to Grant, and Grant accepted those things, and, you know, the result of that, of course, was, you know, that a bunch of regular people were able to go back to their lives and their homes and their families, you know. See, like, it doesn't look all that melted at the bottom. Maybe I'm out of water. Holy crap. No. Hot. Not out of water. Okay. Not out of water. Okay. Here we go. I do not know how I'm supposed to only dip this in halfway, by the way. I don't remember who suggested that, but if I do, it's just gonna pull out. Like, this is too thick and heavy, and it whoop, slides right out. That's why I haven't been doing that. Or... Hurry up and dry so I can put a face on you guys. Okay. See? Like it's not enough. Always make it look so easy on those stupid DIY channels. Okay. And so I guess that, like, what I was saying is, like, You know, he did the thing, they abided by the thing, both sides did, and that would generally be considered honorable, right? You know, they surrendered, and then of course after you surrender, then that's the end of it, right? Like, everybody agrees to whatever the terms of surrender are. Jack, I wish I could make your face flatter. Maybe I can. We'll see here. Oh, a knife. Look at that. Oh, that's better. We're coming off the top here, though. Ooh, that one looks good. From myself. Oh my god, look at these like effed up cookies over here. Yeah. It took me about 10 minutes to even find that bowl and that pan and figure out that they would go together in this way to maybe possibly do the thing that I needed. So I can't even think of the last time that I've used either of these kitchen implements. I've managed to, I've had this goal lately of, what do you call it, budgeting food, right? Because I was eating out a super lot, and it was just expensive and fattening and all the things, and so I decided, you know, I'm gonna make a food budget or whatever and do that. Maybe I should like tilt this a little more like this so that the heat gets more on the bottom. And so anyway, so I hate cooking, but I do not mind nearly as much food assembly, like a salad, making a salad. That's assembly. You're just like putting the things together. There's not really any super chemistry involved. I don't much mind boiling water, so I make top ramen, you know. But I've managed to F that one up a number of times too, believe it or not. There's a lot of things that I can do in this life, but cooking, I'll leave cooking to the men. They're good at it, and I'm happy to do the dishes. So, I don't know. Okay, here we go. We're going to try this again. Maybe I should give that a little time to get soft. I don't know. I need a spatula. What if I even have a spatula? I have all these old leftover kitchen things from old roommates years ago. I don't even know what I have because I never, this isn't really a spatula. It's kind of a floppy thing that you turn over sandwiches with. I guess that's a spatula. I mean like one of those rubbery things. Could I pinch the cookie with tongs? I don't know. I mean, I have tongs, actually. Let's give it a try, right? Like, what if I don't do the stick part first? What if I do the stick part second? That's not a bad idea. So we'll give that a go. Okay. So, in case you guys are wondering why I didn't even go out, it's Halloween. I get dressed up an inordinate number of days out of the year compared to the average bear. And this holiday, as much as I love getting dressed up and in costume and doing the thing, this holiday is kind of my Scrooge holiday a little bit because I get dressed up so much all the time that when Halloween rolls around, everybody is like, what are you doing for Halloween? Nothing. I'm not doing anything for Halloween. I'm going to go home, sit in the dark, in my pajamas, under a blanket, and eat all of the candy myself. I'm not doing anything. Actually, so this last weekend is kind of funny. I'm totally not talking about the Confederacy anymore because it's been a while. But I'm going to tell you the story of my last weekend. So this last weekend I was down in Scotts Mills, Oregon, which is near Salem, Oregon, filming for a web series called Cascadia Mythos. And in the film, or web series, whatever. My character is a fairy, and we're filming a scene that takes place in the court of the Fairy Queen. So I'm all dressed up as a fairy, right? Well, it also happens to be on Saturday my brother's birthday. So as I'm coming back from the whole thing, now we had to hike probably like a mile to get to where this thing took place. And it was awesome, by the way. It was stunningly beautiful where we were. Okay. And so anyway, so we get like, you know, to come back, we have to get out of costume. We had to carry all our costumes down. And it was treacherous. There were like 4 ropes on the way down to help you lower yourself so that you didn't kill yourself falling down the side of this cliff face to get to where we were. Okay, we're going to give this tong business a try. Okay, ready? If I do that though, like how is it going to... Okay, where's that stick? Oh. Just stick that up in there. Okay. So anyway, so it's my brother's birthday, so as I'm driving back, I get this text from my brother wishing me a happy birthday because he says happy early birthday because my birthday is next month. And this is basically his way of kind of being a jerk and being like, you didn't wish me happy birthday. But I knew it was his birthday. So anyway, so they're all out at some bar that he likes to go to in Vancouver. So I said, hey, well, I'm on my way back from the set. Why don't I just come up and, you know, see everybody, my dad and his girlfriend and everybody, all his buddies are all hanging out. That worked out all right, huh? That, like, actually was pretty, that was easier, I think. Like, even though it's a little messier dipping in the tongs, it's like, it gets it on there so you can then spread it around much more easily. That was a good idea, and I'm going to try it a second time and see if we cannot yet make it. Okay. So anyway, so here I am. I am costumed, makeuped, everything up from the shoulders up. I just have on all my ears and headdresses and makeup and everything. And I'm like, well, my brother wants me to come hang out with him at the bar for his birthday, but you know, I'm all dressed up. I guess he's just going to have to deal with the fact that his sister is a fairy in real life. And so I get to the bar, and I go inside, and of course it's Halloween weekend, but I don't know that because I don't pay attention to those things sometimes. And I get there, and I'm like, oh my God, why is everybody dressed up? And I'm looking around, and I'm like, whoa, like what's going on this weekend? And all of a sudden, this is when it finally occurs to me, oh my God, it's Halloween weekend. And I was like, yeah, I fit in. All these people here are now going to assume that I am dressed up because it's Halloween, not because I'm just a weirdo that does this kind of thing for a living. This is so awesome. Like, it was the strangest feeling, and everybody was like, oh, I love your costume, and it was great. I was just laughing. I'm like, yeah, thanks. That's, I don't know. It was the strangest feeling to realize that nobody on this particular day thought that I was out of place, when really I was out of place, because I wasn't dressed up in order for the holiday, right? Okay, I really like that dipping idea. Thank you for the dipping idea. Like, this is working good. Okay, so, boy, sure does, maybe I have to stick them in the freezer to cool them off. Which, if that's the case, I should do this. And that way I can put these guys in the freezer. And so that's why I'm here doing this tonight instead of out being dressed up, partying and drinking and doing whatever. I wanted to do something for Halloween, but I did not want to get dressed up for Halloween. So I'm going to put this here and stick these guys in the freezer so that I can decorate their faces pretty soon. Okay, we're back. I really want to try eating one of these because the white frosting looks so good, but I just don't want to put the Oreo in my face is what it comes down to at the end of the day. I don't know. Did you do anything interesting for Halloween? Are you doing something interesting currently? Well, if you're here watching me, I'm going to guess that you're probably not out doing something more interesting than being at home. So, but maybe you did something over the weekend that was interesting. Okay. Definitely like doing it this way way better. Okay, put the stick in. Then, make Jack's face look nice. What am I going to do with these anyway? Maybe I should mail them to you guys. Do you guys want a Jack Skellington cookie? Eventually he'll be all fancied up with a face and everything. Can put him in a little bag. He'll have a little bow tie. It'll all be so cute. I'm gonna. I want it to be flatter. Let's see. I really, if I had had more time, one of the things that I had wanted to do for Halloween was, so around where I live, the kids kind of know that I'm a fairy, and so, and I do things with, like, I do fun things, but kind of secret fun things where I just go. So one of the things that I do is, especially in the summer, when I have extra things left over from, say, my dross boxes that I send out to my Patreon subscribers, if I have extra stuff, I will often take that stuff and I just put it into a little random Tupperware box like thing, and I sort of make it kind of fancy or whatever, not super fancy, but, and then I place it someplace outside by where I know the kids play and hang out, and I put a little tag on it that says Finders Keepers, and that's it. Whoever finds it gets to keep it. It will be nice if they share it with anybody else if they find it, and there are lots of other kids around, but that's how that game works. And sometimes I set things up so they have like a little scavenger hunt, or I don't know, it's a way for me to do something fun, you know, for the kids around here with the extra things that I have. So I'm not throwing stuff away. And I wanted to instead, because I didn't want to answer the door tonight, you know. It's like, I don't want to answer the door. Trick or treat! Like I told you, I get all Scroogey about Halloween, right? Even though I love kids, I'm just like, I don't want to hear the little kids going trick or treat. So, so what I wanted to do was, but I didn't have time, and I feel kind of bad about it, was, oh wait, first the tongs. And I wanted to put on my door like, where you can take a number, and then the number would actually be a clue to someplace around here where I've pre-hidden a Finders Keepers. And then they could go on a little scavenger hunt, sort of like geocaching, right? I love geocaching, by the way. Okay. But I didn't get to do that, and now I feel bad. Maybe I should just go hide things tomorrow. I do have some extra stuff from, oh my gosh, I've got enough extra stuff because I always tend to get extra. I don't know what I'm going to do with it by the time the end of the year rolls around. This one is not so good. I just need one good one. Definitely not so good. It's coming out the end here. Really coming out the end. Golly, stop. Okay. Let's see here. You know, I was a kid and you went trick-or-treating, you had to be afraid of the older kids hiding behind the bushes who were there to jump out, and I never had anybody steal my Halloween candy. Of course, I'm not sure they would have had a easy time stealing my Halloween candy, because I just wouldn't have let it go that easy, right? That's supposed to be my candy for the next 2 days, even though my parents would like it to probably be 2 months. But suffice it to say, you had to be like worried that when you went up those scary pathways, somebody was hiding behind the bushes, and the older kids were out there, and they were just, basically all they did was run around and chase you like, we're going to steal your candy, but they never actually did, I mean, maybe somebody in some neighborhood had their candy stolen, and that would be really crappy and terrible if they did, and I'm sorry for them. But I never really had to deal with that personally. It was just more of a scare all the younger kids thing. Horror is my favorite genre, so even though the actual day of Halloween, I'm like, rah, 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 rah. The whole general Halloween season, I love it. I'm all about the creepy clown, whatever. I am not afraid of you, creepy clown. Bring it on. I didn't see the new It. I did see the new Blade Runner, though. The new Blade Runner was fabulous. I actually kind of want to go back and watch it a second time, because it seemed like there was just so much cool. And I really like the whole AI conundrum that's there. I'm pretty into the ethics around that sort of thing, and studying that. Robot ethics, I guess you might say. Robot ethics, to my mind, is the wrong word. Bioethics is the way to talk about it. But so I just thought that was pretty cool to sort of see the world depicted the way that it was. Many of the issues that we see depicted in that movie are already happening, and our legal and ethical policies regarding them are way behind. It's kind of scary, because it's going to start affecting people, and we're not going to be prepared to deal with it in our courts until basically until we get landmark cases on, issues. I had a friend recently put on their Facebook, he asked a question about, it was a long-winded question, and I cannot really reiterate the whole thing here, but it essentially had to do with if you had the technology, the knowledge and to make the technology that would, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was essentially do something good, like alleviate all of, a person's worry and anxiety without any negative side effects, etc., and allow them to be, more alert, have better memory, these types of things. What would you do with that? What would be ethical to do with that technology? And then he had a whole bunch of like A through F answer scenarios. And it's interesting, because he really did try to phrase this question of, because people always want to change it. They're like, well, I would do, option Z that's not on your list. Like, nobody can ever just kind of stick to looking at what's in the question. They always have to be clever and have their own funny little answer or whatever. But one of the things I noticed, because in the premise that he was giving, this particular technology is in fact a good, or what we would currently consider a good technology, right? It helps people, it takes away bad things, it increases positive traits, about their mind, etc., allowing them. We actually already have some interesting, I wish I could remember, some interesting cases that sort of deal with memory with regards to students in colleges taking certain prescription drugs that enhance your ability to stay awake, to focus, pay attention, and whether or not it's ethical to allow those students to use those drugs that allow them to study longer and harder and get the passing grades versus students that can't get that prescription. And so it was interesting that he asked this, because there's all kinds of, the people that answered, when they answered, they really had, at least to my mind, very altruistic outlooks. Like, maybe altruistic is wrong. Maybe it was just, maybe it's more naive, might have been the right word, you know? In that they seem to think that if this technology is good, I would give it to the whole world, you know. And I thought to myself, because a technology is a good technology, or can have these positive side effects, like it increases your memory and all these other things, right? Or your ability to focus and helps alleviate your anxiety, et cetera, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an ethical, like that it can't be used unethically or abused or applied in a way. And this is one of the things that interests me so much about artificial intelligence and biotech, and especially bioethics, where they, you know, have, as it relates to all of this, right? Because here we have these conversations of, if we know we have the technology to say, determine that a child is death in utero, and we have or would be born that way without intervention, and we have the technology to intervene and make sure that child is born as a child with all 5 functioning senses, including their hearing. Is it unethical? Is it immoral to withhold that technology from that child? If we know that we apply that same technology to a child that would be born in I guess what we consider a normal way, right, without any particular ailments or detriments, you know, and we know that we apply that technology to them, that it will increase their skills and ability in life, you know, giving them an edge to help them be more successful. Is it immoral to withhold it from a healthy child? Right? So there's all kinds of and this technology exists. These are things that we can do, or at least can be done in different places, you know, around the world. And we just do not see these questions get addressed very much. And the thing is just medicine and science, you know, and especially where these things intersect with artificial intelligence and transhumanism and body modification, etc. You know, it's a thing. Is it unethical to withhold things from your child that you know would give them a better life? Is it, you know, should you purposefully handicap them when you don't have to, so that they aren't more advantaged over everyone else? Or should they be able to be advantaged over everyone else, if that's what you can do? I mean, that's currently the world we live in a whole number of different ways, right? I mean, if you come from a home where both of your parents are there and you know, just like a stable, regular home, in many ways you are already advantaged over 50% of American homes that don't have both parents, right? So, you know, I don't know. I guess I find that it's heartening to me a little bit that people don't look at, you know, they think, oh, this is great, this is good technology, And, you know, we should think of all the things that it can do that would be positive. It's heartening to me that it doesn't occur to so many people how a thing like that could be abused, even if it's a good thing, how it could be misapplied in an abusive way. Because that sort of bespeaks to the part of humanity that I feel like gets overlooked. You know, I think that by and large, humanity, we have a drive to try to be good. Even if we aren't always, I think that that's where it goes. People don't go out of their way to be terrible, right? Some people do, but as a species, I don't think that we do. And I do think that sometimes the goodness of humanity gets overlooked. But, you know, I kind of watched people answer this on my buddy's Facebook, and I thought, wow, all these people are just really looking at this question from the perspective of, think of all the good that it can do. I would do blah, blah, blah. And it, like, never occurs to them how this stuff could be used really bad, even if it's good. And I thought, that's actually kind of heartening, you know, even if I feel like they're, okay, this one is a fail. You know, even if I feel like they kind of have a little bit of a naive understanding of some of the things being talked about. Okay, you guys, like, I put one in the freezer, and I kind of want to put this in the freezer and pull the one in the freezer out, and I really, really want to lick the knife. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna try to put the face on one of these. Okay. I guess I probably shouldn't put that right back in there, huh? Okay. Wash, and then dry, and then put it back in. Fail. That's why I suck in the kitchen. Good Lord. Okay. Here we go. Now we're going to get to the part where I draw Jack's face. Oh, I'm excited. I don't know how I'm going to manage this business right here. Okay. Here we go. You're going to go into the oven, I guess. Whoa. Maybe you'll go into the oven. No, you're not going to go into the oven, are you? Okay. This one will be good for the face drawing. No, it cracked! Oh, they all cracked. Ah! That's so frustrating. Okay. I hear you, cat. How the F am I gonna do this? I only have like one pan. Okay, here we go. Fast magic. 1, 2, 3. Whew. Okay. Oh, messy cookies. These ones look relatively okay, except for that they cracked. Ah, frustrating. Okay. Well, see. Oh, cracks. What a bummer. Alright, well these two look the least cracked, so I guess I'm going to try them. Now, where's my... Let's see. Nope. God, I have to cut this thing open. Okay. Like a special way to do this. Am I doing it wrong? Alright, so eyes, nose, ears. Really fast. Nose. No. Eyes, nose, mouth. Eyes, nose, mouth. Okay, so I did this. Maybe I should practice on one of these crappy ones. Ah, like the short, the short bus jack. Let's see, here we go. And then his nose was like, okay. Okay, I need a way to get that out. Need something long and pointy. We have this. I need something long and pointy. I can use. I don't know. I don't know what I've got. This is too much though. Too much is coming out at once. Use the needles maybe. Let's see. What if we just don't put any more down? What if we just do this? Straight out the middle. I wonder how long this stuff takes to dry. Well, not as... See, what I really need here are sculpting tools. Or, let's see. I think I can use this. Let's see. So, hey Marv, how's it going? And, you know, I'll tell you, I'm actually all for modifications because I kind of am of the belief that the next stage of humanity is precisely our medical, our medical advancements. So I don't see any, I don't make a differentiation between like natural and unnatural in the way that many people do, I guess. If we invent this technology and are using it to to better ourselves and our genes and our DNA and all this stuff, then that's our boon. We're doing that. We're making that. Okay, we're gonna try this. So a big fat eye. Then I've got this. We'll just stretch that out. Maybe. Okay. Kind of looks like an alien, huh? The last one turned out better. Okay, I have to just pause for a minute because I totally have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back. What are you doing, Frisky Cat? What are you doing? Okay. Okay, I'm back. While I was gone using the facilities, I decided to grab my awl from the art room. I think it might help me better do what I'm aiming to do here with the facial artwork. Okay. So, because this is really not the most. Precision tool here. So put these little not stick very well to that hardened vanilla. You know, I think there's tricks that they do not tell you about when they do those little Facebook DIY videos. We used this kind of material, that brand of thing. We took this hidden step that we didn't put into our 2-minute quick thing. It's okay, I suppose. Turned out better than the last one. Let's see. What do you guys think? You know, so speaking of the future of humanity being cybernetic, right? What, like, this is a question that I just find super fascinating. You know, is what even makes humanity humanity, right? If you could map a person in their entirety, you know, all of their brain, their memories, everything. If you could map it to a material that was, or a substance that was not, what's the word I'm looking for? Bio in essence. The word is totally out of my head because right now I'm thinking about little Jack Skellington things. What would make it? Would you consider that alive if you yourself were, you know, totally mapped onto some, you know, a silicon brain inside of a cybernetic body, but for all intents and purposes, it's everything that you have ever been. It's all your life, your experiences, your memories, and, you know, it's you. It's just not on, you know, a biological substance. Then is that not you anymore? You know, what makes us us? Okay, here we go. Yes. Then just drag that down like this. Maybe I'm doing it too close together. Kind of looks like a little alien like that, doesn't he? till I give him his little skeleton mouth. He looks like an alien. So I think it's a very interesting question, and this is one of the reasons that probably one of the biggest reasons that I'm actually pro-choice, because I don't think that I don't think that life is defined by the mere existence of our biology, right? It's defined by a number of different things, and so I find it an interesting question though, because I feel like it's gonna be coming up here in the future. What kinds of rights? I saw an article float by a couple days ago. I kind of want to go Google it, about how some country, some place giving an AI the first rights to an AI unit ever, and I need to go look that up and see. I don't know. Do any of you out there know what I'm talking about? If a chip in my brain could give me photographic memory, would I want it? I don't know, actually. Although it seems like the sort of thing that I would want to say, yeah, that'd be so awesome, right? I find myself questioning whether or not without other types of evolutions, I guess, would a brain would we have the capacity to handle that much just straight up knowledge? I mean, just think about for a second, every single thing you've ever seen, you remember. That's what photographic memory is. Just every single thing you've seen, you've read, you've looked at, like every single thing. And you can recall those things. That is an enormous amount of data. And it almost seems to me that it would be too much for us to handle, and it would eventually drive a person insane to have that much knowledge over time. We wouldn't be able to process it. Now, if our ability to process those things also increased in such a way that it could be handled, then maybe that I think that we'll either have to extend human lifetime, or we'll have to extend our capacity to retain knowledge if we want to advance any more technologically, because we're sort of coming to a point where the amount of time that a human being has to spend studying a particular topic in order to become an expert in that topic. And then, of course, to get your doctorates, you have to present a thesis that is adding something new to the field. I think most people probably know this, but you have to be contributing knowledge, which means your knowledge, all of our knowledge, like humanity's knowledge, becomes increasingly more and more and more specialized. And the more specialized that knowledge becomes, the longer it takes for us to study those topics to get to the point where we can then specialize and go out from there, right? So, granted, some of that is alleviated by the fact that over time, as old ideas get discarded, we don't have to learn every single bit of knowledge that ever was. The ideas that are not the good ideas get discarded and don't get taught, right? So, to some extent, we save ourselves some space in doing that, but even still, you know, you used to be able 100 years ago, you could become a doctor in 4 years of going to university because the knowledge wasn't that great. And now, you know, there's no way, right? you, um, so I mean, you have to go to 4 years of university before you can even apply to medical school, right? So, uh, you know, so I think that eventually we're going to hit a point where there will be too much knowledge, and either we will run out of time to learn the knowledge necessary in order to be able to refine and specialize more deeply, or we'll run out of basically space in our heads, and we'll have to be able to consume and retain ever greater amounts of knowledge. Maybe it will be a combination of both. You know, Marv, you asked the question of where do we stop with regards to developing artificial limbs, and my question is, why would we stop? What reason is there to not continue? You know, I mean, is there really anything that we do and create that is not humanity, that isn't us, that isn't a reflection, a direct, you know, reflection of us as a species? You know, if I invent a wheel, that wheel is directly a direct reflection of my ingenuity. So why would we stop, right? We do a lot of things that are not directly biological in nature, yet still are of us, as it were. Okay, I actually am going to stick this one guy. I kind of like this one. Even though he almost looks a little more like Oogie Boogie, huh? I love Oogie Boogie. He's like my favorite. But that one looks pretty good. I like that guy. Can you see that guy? There he is. So stick him in the freezer and get his little face cooled off. This one's okay. Oops. Okay. Then we'll top those guys off with, and whoops. Guess I'll put you in there too. Top them off with their last little piece of decoration, and then I'll be out of here. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I was thinking I might go out, but I don't want to lose my parking spot. I don't know. I have much work to do tomorrow. I've been pounding through my work since I got back from the weekend's filming, but it is not yet done. I had a paper towel up here, but I guess not. I'm pretty excited because this coming, we've got 1 month with some smaller local shows, and then in December off to see my mother, and I'm gonna go do some castle exploring, and I'm gonna go see a cryptozoology museum, and that's gonna be fun. So, yeah, that guy's okay looking. Into the freezer with you. Into the freezer. Okay. Here we go. Now, let's see. I'm gonna pull one of these guys out. Here's my little half Jack, half Oogie Boogie. So, I think the last part to this whole thing is just to add a little bow. And I didn't, well, I'm sure I have black and white somewhere, but I honestly did not want to look that hard for it. So I rated my ribbons, and since his insides are orange, I figured that a black and orange ribbon would be sufficient for this purpose. Besides, I don't even have like a white stick. I've got the I Love Jack Skellington stick. So there's always that, right? Here we go. Just gonna tie a little bow. I'm not sure I can actually tie this in a bow because it's tiny. I can. Oh, check it out. I can tie a teeny tiny bow. Ta-da! There he is. Let's get that opened up a little bit. Get that. Yeah, I like this look. Ah, there he is. It's gonna be delicious. For somebody, anyway. I'm not sure who yet. Alright, everybody. I've been here for an hour and a half. Talked about the topics. Did the things. Happy Halloween to all of you. Thank you for joining me. And I look forward to seeing what everybody else has to say. Tomorrow is normally Nathan Brendan Masters, but I'm not actually sure if he's going to be up or if he has somebody who's parachuting for him. So, goodbye. Goodbye.